Hello friends, welcome. My name is Kamalveer. In this video, we are going to learn about Neo-Realism. It is an approach to study international relations. In previous some videos, we have already learned about idealist approach. Then we have learned about realist approach. Now we are going to learn about Neo-Realism or Neo-Realist approach. Neo-realism is also called structural realism. So these both of these approaches are same, neo-realism and structural realism. So most important thing, who is considered to be father of neo-realism? So Kenneth Waltz is considered to be father of neo-realist approach. He has developed this approach, and his landmark work or main book in book that he covered about neo-realist approach. The name of the book is Theory of International Politics, and it was published in 1979. Okay, so basically this approach was developed to refine or to answer against the criticisms that were raised in context of realist approach. So this new realist approach or structural realist approach came into existence to provide a refined approach to study international relations. So what is the basic difference between these two approaches? First is classical realism was developed by Hans J. Morgenthau and it was developed by Kenneth Waltz. Second, the classical realist approach says that international politics or international relations can be studied and analyzed based on human nature, because human nature is the key thing that controls and determines the international relations. On the other hand, neo-realist thinkers posed stress on thing that international relation is basically determined and controlled by international structures. So realists say that nature of human nature is basically determinant behind the nature or policies of a state. On the other hand, neo-realist says that the international structure is the key determinant that influenced the actions and policies of a state or country. So this is very basic differentiation between these two approaches. So basically classical realism is rooted in human nature, okay, and on the other hand neo-realist approach is based or rooted in international structure, okay. Most of other things are same in both the approaches. Now we will further understand about this approach through some assumptions that laid by neo-realist scholars. So first is states as primary actors. So neo-realist says that states are the most important and unitary actors. Other actors, NGOs, MCs or international organization plays secondary roles. Although states and non-state all perform some kind of roles in international relations, but the main actors are states or countries. Same way, they recognize the role of other actors as well. Then, what is international relations? Because there is absence of a central authority or a controlling authority, that's why international system is anarchic. Okay. Each state must rely on its own power to survive in international platforms or relations. Then, survival of the state is the ultimate goal of all the states. One more thing that is important to learn here, that there are two variants of neo-realist or structural realism. First is defensive realism and second is offensive realism. So defensive realism is known that was developed by Kenneth Waltz, and offensive realism was developed by John Mearsheimer. Both are the variants of neo-realist approach or neo-structural approach or structural realism. So defensive realism, or Kenneth Waltz, says that states are the primary security maximizers, not power maximizers. Basically, he is saying that all countries seek to power or maximize their power, but their goal is not to suppress other countries, but to survive or defend themselves. Okay, so all countries seek to maximize their power and their goal is to defend themselves. On the other hand, that's why it is called defensive realism. On the other hand, offensive realism, that was developed by John Mearsheimer. He says states seek power and they want to maximize their power, and their goal is not to defend themselves, but to establish their establish their domination, or to gain more power over the rebels, or they want to become global hegemon. So defensive realism, they that means states seek power to ensure survival, not to dominate others. So that is why it is also called defensive realism, because Kenneth Waltz is saying that states seek power, but they seek enough power so that they can ensure their survival. They don't want to dominate other countries. Aggression is counterproductive because it provokes balancing by other states. Sometimes some states take some aggressive actions. The main reason behind this action is only to establish some kind of balance. And two main books are associated with defensive realism, and they were authored by Kenneth Waltz. First is Theory of International Politics. It was published in 1979. And then Man, the State and War, and it was published in 1959. So then Offensive Realism. It was developed by John Mearsheimer. This says that states are always searching for opportunities to gain power over their rivals. The ultimate goal of a state, of a country, to seek more power is not to defend themselves or to survival only, but to become a regional or global hegemon. Okay, aggressive policies are rational in an anarchic system. So basically, countries rationally make decisions to make some aggressive actions in international arenas. So when it comes to books, there is a book, The Tragedy of Great Power Politics. It was published in 2001. This is the main book of defense offensive realism. So these were some main ideas about structural realism or neo-realism. So as I told you earlier, that it was developed by Kenneth Waltz, and later it was refined and developed into new variant, that is offensive realism, by John Mearsheimer. So this was all for neo-realism. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.